Back on again. This time we're up on the heel of the island in a place called Port Royal Plantation, and we're at the site of what was known as Fort Walker, as a Confederate fortification guarding the entrance to Port Royal Sound, which is the body of water just out off the shore that we'll walk up to in a minute. And Fort Walker was captured by the Union on November 7th of 1861. It was occupied that afternoon by the Union forces, and it was then renamed Fort Wells by the Union, which toward the Atlantic was a hospital. 160,000 square foot structure that was built in an open square configuration, so it could have lots of fresh air blowing through the windows, because most of the illnesses or the things that were being treated in the Army at the time were illnesses of one kind or another. Malaria, yellow fever, typhoid, those types of things, in addition to dysentery, sepsis, and other problems. But very few of the people who were ever hospitalized here were hospitalized from wounds or the complications of wounds. And then further down the beach,
you know, Rich, is related to that. I've heard stories that
the area that's now the beach or under the water in Port Royal Sound, because this is a pretty good sized fort, not monstrous, about maybe 6 acres, 7 acres inside this fort. Let's walk out to the water to get a better feel for why it was positioned where it was.
So off to our right is the open Atlantic. Over to our left is the mouth of Port Royal Sound. The significance of the Port Royal Sound, Rich, as compared to some of the other sounds up and down the eastern seaboard, is there a reason why the Union Army wanted to capture this particular area?
Great question, Todd, and there's a couple of reasons actually. Let's start with the physical nature of Port Royal Sound. This body of water that we're going to be looking at in a minute is the second largest and second deepest natural harbor on the east coast of North America. The largest harbor is Chesapeake Bay. The deepest harbor is New York Harbor. And we'll walk all the way up, so we've got
a second highest tidal fluctuations on the eastern seaboard. About every 6 hours or so, the water is going to go up and down an average of 8 feet. The Bay of Fundy in Maine, or Nova Scotia, there's fluctuations up to 20 feet. So what you're looking at now, low tide or high tide, could be really significant as it changes for the ships that are coming in and out.
Yeah, and so this made it a very valuable harbor, because you could come and go without worry pretty much any time of day. The size of the harbor was also important, because they would need a lot of warships in this harbor to complete the mission of the squadron that was assigned to blockade all of the Confederate ports along the southeast coast. And one of the other reasons that the Union chose to invade the Port Royal Sound is the fact that this was, in the minds of the North, the heartland of secession and the epicenter of slavery in the United States, because of the two slave markets in Charleston and Savannah, and the fact that during the first 50 years of the 19th century, almost 400,000 slaves came in through those two markets alone. Most of those slaves' destination was the southeast coast of the United States.
What was the population rate?
Wanted to come to Port Royal because it was the place from which the bulk of the Sea Island cotton crop in South Carolina was shipped. It would come from Port Royal Sound, Savannah, Charleston. So by invading the Sound, they would prevent the South from realizing the income from the harvest that year. The other thing was, Abraham Lincoln personally wanted to deal a blow to the secessionists in the heart of slavery that he considered to be this area of the southeast coast.
So it was a mental thing as much as anything.
It was psychological. They wanted to do a psychological blow to the Confederacy, as well as a physical blow in terms of the revenue that they would deprive them of.
And you talked about that a little bit, not today, but earlier, in that the majority of that cotton was actually going over to England.
Right.
Because they had the first industrial complex to turn that into a ware or a good.
Yeah.
So they were able to cut off the monetary supply by cutting off the cotton.